afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, a first look at NATA's brand new Safety First Training Center. I am Morgan Johnson, Education and Training Coordinator, and I'm here with Steve Berry, Training and Content Manager.
Good afternoon, Morgan, and welcome everybody.
And also Mike France, Managing Director of Safety and Training.
Hi, Morgan. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. We're all very excited today about talking about the new Safety First Training Center. So glad you all could join us. A couple of notes before we get started. Everyone will note that you're currently muted. We do that just to keep the background noise down. We will have a question and answer session at the end, and so you'll have the ability to ask some questions and follow up. We'll kind of run through some of the features right now. But you know what, let's go ahead and get started. I hope you guys enjoyed the quick video there at the beginning. That's available on our website. I think it does a great job of overview of what the training center, the new Safety First Training Center, is all about. And really, what this is, the new training center is about, is a complete and total redesign of our program based upon member input. We are a not-for-profit trade association, and several years ago, we began asking our members what they liked, what they didn't like about the Safety First program, and how we could make it even better. What resulted was really a revamp of the content, the model, and the administration of the program, and results, I think, in what I would consider a comprehensive system for organizational learning and development, plus really the industry-leading operational safety training from the Safety First program. So we started, like I said, talking to our members about what they liked and did not like about the Safety First program, and here's some of the things we heard. Number one, the multimedia is outdated. The program, some of the photos and the videos were outdated. It's not often you see ramps anymore with Jetstars and Lear 23s. We had photographs like that. So we wanted to obviously take a look at updating all that multimedia. There were issues with program flexibility. The PLST, Professional Line Service Training Program, was kind of a one-size-fits-all approach for learning and development of line service professionals. You had to complete the entire program, all the exams, hands-on, practical, prior to receiving a certification. We had issues with recurrent training. A lot of that came, again, back to the outdated multimedia. There wasn't anything new. We had some people who had taken the same content 3, 4, 5 times. And then further on, the fourth was their administrative challenges. The LMS was cutting edge when it was designed in 2008. But you know, the internet had moved forward at breakneck pace, and so we had administrators saying they were running into some challenges, and we wanted to make sure to address those. So with that, let's go ahead and jump straight in and talk about some of the revitalization of the content. For that, I'm going to turn things over to Steve Berry. Steve?
Thanks, Mike. So when we set out to redesign the content that we were offering, one of our first goals was to work closely with the NATA Safety Committee. And this really ensured that we were meeting the latest industry standards and best practices so that what we were offering to our members and our students reflected the best and most current information out there. The next thing we did is we went and visited with members. We went out to locations and actually took pictures of Safety First users and line service professionals out performing their jobs and updating all of updating the content and the videos that you guys will see within the Safety First Training Center. Another new feature is the enhanced resources of the training center. So we've moved to a structured training model within our OJT that'll simplify how trainers can work with their students to perform on-the-job training. We've also completely redesigned, we've taken a new approach to the practical exam portion. So in the legacy system, you'll remember there was a lot of different boxes, a sort of fixed format checklist that trainers would go through. With our new practical exams, we've created them to be site-specific to your needs. So we give you some guidance and some best practices and areas to sort of focus on, but it's really up to the individual trainer to determine what their operational needs are and whether or not a student has met the needs of that particular organization. So a lot more flexibility with the OJT and practical exam portions within the training center. And then of course we still have written exams or online exams, multiple choice questions designed to evaluate the knowledge retention that a student gained from an individual course. And then we also offer different industry resources within each course. We'll link to external documents or reference materials so that those are available to both the student and the trainer.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I'm very excited about some of these, the enhanced resources, the new content. It's a whole new look and feel. For those of you that have already been in there, you've noticed that. But one of the things, really what I think is the core, is that the Safety First Training Center now presents a new way to manage content. And really, it's also a new way to manage learning. So let's take a look at the existing Legacy Safety First program. That's the giant boulder on the left, right? We think about the PLST. That's a very large, cumbersome program. Those of you all on the line that have completed it know it can take 8, 10, 12, 14 hours for new hires to be able to go through that program. And as they go through it, they're subjected to everything. They've got to learn from the basics of what is general aviation, through all the basic line service safety items, through the servicing items and fuel, fire safety, all the way to towing before they receive a certificate of training showing that they've accomplished something. What we've tried to do in the new training center is take a new look at that. Instead of the giant boulder of training, we've broken our content into manageable pieces. Inside the training center, you're going to find most of our courses now range in time to completion between 25 to 35 minutes. One or two of them may be a little bit longer than that for more complex topics. While if you look at the legacy system right now, we have PLST, supervisor, customer service, de-icing, hazmat, about 8 or 9 big giant courses. The new system has, especially when we're finishing developing some of the new content that we're creating right now, some exciting things that no one's ever seen before from a ground handling and administrative side, we're going to have roughly 45 smaller courses. Right now we're near 30 that are in the system. Everything that was covered in these large boulders is now broken up into much smaller digestible pieces. And each course then is focused on a specific topic. Right now, if you go through the safety module in the PLST, you're going to be hitting on about 15 to 25 different topics. Everything from basic safety, personal safety, PPE, some general servicing is even included in that. Now, those will each be their own course. So that kind of begs the question, if we've got 45 different courses, how in the world are we going to manage those? And the old system, it was through assignments. When you wanted a student to take the PLST, you assigned it to them, and then they completed it. With 45 courses for each and every student, you could see that could be quite a nightmare for trying to assign. So we've developed a new method that we think that I'm very excited about to manage your students' progress through these courses. And we call those course tracks. At its basis, a course track is nothing more than a pathway through the existing courses within our system. We do have several default course tracks that when you first set up your account are available to give to your students so that they can begin. We have the PLST, we call that the Professional Line Service track. We've kind of kept that acronym. We have the LSST Line Service Supervisor track, and then the Customer Service Representative track. Basically, all these are is the order in which your students proceed through the training. One of the exciting things about it, though, is you're not stuck with the default track, what NATA says the order should be. Unlike the PLST, previously, when you assigned that, your student had to complete all those courses, and that was it. Now, you can create your own custom track. You can decide what courses you want done first. You can decide what courses you want done later. You can decide if there's courses you don't even want included. For example, those of you all that are in southern Florida probably will never need de-icing. So you're not going to build de-icing courses or cold stress health and safety courses into your students' course track. Some of you all may not do potable water. No sense in building potable water courses in. So you've got the power in your hands to control how your students are going to learn. And you can create as many of those different custom tracks as you want. So you can have custom tracks for new hires. You can have a custom tracks for returning employees that maybe left and came back, and you have a special learning pathway you want for them. The power is yours to build the training the way you want it. We provide the courses. You can design the tracks. Some of you all have already been into the system. I looked at the names of who's online now and know some of you guys have already looked at it. You're probably going to go, yeah, but course tracks kind of make sense. What are these blocks that I'm seeing? So we did not want the course track to simply just be course, you do course 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on in line. We wanted to empower the learner to have some degree of freedom over what they're learning and when. So the course tracks now are made up of blocks. So block 1 may have 5 or 6 courses in it. What that means is your learner has to start with block 1, but they can complete those courses within block 1 in any order they want. But before they can move on to block 2, all the courses in block 1 must be completed. Then that opens up block 2, and so on down the line. As you create your custom tracks, you have the ability to create blocks inside your tracks. You can have as many blocks or as few blocks as you want. You could put all the courses into one block, meaning your students could complete all the courses in any order they want. Or you could put one course each in its own block, meaning your student can only go in the order you want them to go in. So again, empowering you and empowering the students to create a better learning experience. And while course tracks may sound complex at first, I think what you'll see as you get in to build them and you use them, you'll see it's a very simple and actually powerful way to manage learning and empower your learners.
Thanks, Mike. So as your students work their way through either the default course track designed by NATA or a custom course track designed by an organization, they're going to earn ratings. And this is a fundamental difference between the legacy system and the new Safety First Training Center. The legacy system, as Mike mentioned, was that single certificate approach where you earned a certificate at the end of your training. Within the new training center and our ratings-based approach, your students will earn ratings for individual tasks as they complete the courses required for that task. So for example, in the top left there, you have the basic safety and security rating. And then we have a GPU rating, a tow team member non-driving rating, a laboratory rating, and even fuel safety supervisor part 139 rating. So we have a whole suite of different ratings that students can earn as they complete their training and as they move along their training path. And the idea behind that is to reward students, as they're learning. Instead of waiting for that single certificate, they can start to build and collect and earn these ratings and reinforce what they've learned online with their trainers as they go out and perform the OJT and the practical exams and the proficiency. So as students complete the courses that make up a rating, they will automatically be awarded that rating.
And so the interesting thing, I think, the really powerful thing about all of this is the interplay between ratings, which are established by NATA and our safety committee. We've looked at, what courses need to be completed to achieve the GPU rating or the lab rating, and course tracks. That's where you come in as the trainer or the administrator, is designing your course tracks in a way that allows your students to earn the ratings that you want them to have when you need them to have it. One great example that we heard from a lot of members about the PLST was towing. Towing was a requirement to get the PLST to complete it and print your certificate. Yet many of you said, look, we don't really want a new employee towing for 6 months to a year or more. Well, with this new ratings-based approach and course tracks, you can develop a course track that allows them to earn, say, that middle rating, the tow team member non-driving, meaning they are qualified to assist in a tow, do things like hook up the tow bar and wing walk and so on, but they're not qualified to drive. You could save the tug driving, the tow barless and tow bar towing courses till the end, and you can control them when your students will be able to access those and when they get those ratings. So really powerful, really exciting. On top of that is not just did we do the content and the change in model, we've also tried to provide new tools to empower you all as administrators and as trainers. What we heard from our members almost to the individual is that very few of you all have full-time dedicated trainers that only do training. Often trainers have to wear a number of hats, meaning they're busy, they've got a lot going on. So we built the new Safety First Training Center to take some of the workload away from trainers and empower students and the system to manage some of that for them. So we've simplified the design. You can see on the right-hand side right there, the administrative interface. Kind of a simplified design, looks quite a bit different than the existing LMS. The purpose of this design is to allow you to focus on what is needed when it's needed. So the colored boxes there at the top of the administrative screen, what those represent are the different student statuses. Status is basically a way to help you as the administrator know whether or not you need to pay attention to that student. Green is obviously good standing. If a student has a green status, you know they're up to date, nothing's outstanding, they're not overdue on anything, they don't have anything major coming up soon, they're good to go. You could click on the orange box and just look at the students that are in warning. Obviously in this one there's 0, but warning might be kind of that intermediate. You know, there's not an emergency, but hey, there's something you need to pay attention to with this student. It might be that someone has a course that's expiring in 60 days. So you as the administrator might want to be able to look and say, oh, okay, yep, the language of aviation course is expiring in 60 days. I need to go make sure they're going to get that done. Red is exactly what it looks like, alert. That's the one that says, hey, there's an issue. Either a student has a course just getting ready to expire, or it did expire on them. Maybe their OJT and practical exams have been outstanding for too long, and you need to look at that. So really, the system is designed to give you the information you need. It is also, as many of you have already been set up, it's email capable. When you put in a new student, that new student will receive an email from the system telling them their username, password, where to go to log in. The student will get email updates when they have courseware coming due, and you as an administrator can also set it up to get monthly or weekly updates of what's going on over the next period of time. So we're really excited. We think this new administrative portal is going to help the whole program be more student-driven and reduce the workload on you as an administrator. And I see somebody's got their hands up. Don't worry, we're going to come back around to you here at the end, and we'll take some questions.
So thanks, Mike, for explaining how the administrative end of things work. One of the questions that I know is on a lot of folks' mind is how will you transition from the legacy Safety First system into the new Safety First Training Center? Well, the first thing that we want you to know is that all of your legacy certifications, be they PLST, supervisor, CSR, any certifications your students have earned in the legacy system are still valid. They're essentially valid until they expire. Once they reach their expiration date, they're no longer good. During that time, we encourage you to be adding your students into the training center. And the reason that we want you to do that is so that you can start them on their learning path while their certifications are still good, and they'll earn ratings along the way with their courses, their course expiration dates sort of spread out over time. And the goal with that is to create a continuous training culture in which you don't have all of your certifications or all of your ratings expiring at once. We want you guys, your students, to be able to pace their learning, to spend less time online and more time out on the line, actually working and helping grow and serve the needs of your company. So that's an important thing for folks to understand as they transition over. Mike, anything else?
Yeah, let me add something to that, Steve. I think maybe an example is the best way to do this right now. Think about this. So if you have an employee today that has their PLST certification, and that certification does not expire until, say, July of 2020, okay? That certificate is going to remain valid, and they're going to be fully certified for that entire year. But you should put that employee into the training center right now, and let them start taking courses over the next year, earning all the ratings that you decide you want them to have based on whatever course track you assign to them, so that when next July rolls around and their existing PLST certificate expires, they'll hold all the ratings that they need. And what that means then, as Steve pointed out, when recurrency comes due, it'll be slowly paced over a matter of a year rather than having to pull somebody offline for, 2 days to sit down and plow through the content. So the final thing I wanted to mention, and then we'll get to your questions because I'm sure you all have plenty of them, is we also look at this new LMS as being your single source for training. We've got a lot of great content in there. We're building even more content. We're not just stopping with what we have. We've got new content in development right now as we speak, and we'll continue to do that over the life of the training center. We'll develop new content. We'll redevelop old. But we also have the ability now to host your content right next to the Safety First content. So an example might be, does your company have an onboarding course that you make people go through? It may be just a PowerPoint that gives maybe the history of your company, or it talks about the HR policies, things that new employees have to go through. You now have the ability to host that right next to Safety First content on the LMS, available to only your students, and track that record keeping just like you do for other training, included in the student's course track. So this is really exciting, because we heard from our members that we need one-stop shop when it comes to training. So that kind of goes through our presentation. We we threw a lot at you really quickly, but we do want to take some time now to hear your questions, and we'll be happy to stay on the line as long as you need. So the ways to do that, there's two ways you guys can ask questions. One is there's the raise your hand button. Somebody found it earlier. It's over on the left side, I believe, of your webinar interface as an attendee. I see hands going up now, so that's good. The other is if you can't get that to work, you can use the chat button and type in your message and send that to us, and we'll answer it from there. I see messages, questions coming through right now. There's a test question. All right, John Paul, thank you. It works. All right, so let me open up this here, and I'll see who's got their hands up. And all right, so let's see who's asking a question. All right, John Paul, I'm going to unmute your microphone, so you're unmuted. What's your question?
Hi. Can you guys hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. I have a number of questions. You want me to just get one, or you want me to get multiples?
Let's go one at a time.
One at a time. Alrighty. You said in the training system there was you have warning, normal, and expired or alert, something like that, correct?
Correct.
Would we be able to set the warning parameters, say this guy's, instead of 60 days away, he's 30 days away, or 90 days away, or something like that? We'll be able to set that parameter?
So right now that's a fixed parameter within the system, but the nice thing about digital tools like this is if it's really important to you guys to have it set differently for your organization, we're able to talk about doing that. I mean, there's nothing about the code in the system that absolutely prevents it from happening.
Alrighty. Second question. You said we can integrate all our own training into the LMS, correct?
Correct. We can host it, absolutely.
Is that limited to PowerPoints, or can we integrate, like, say we do fueling for Southwest, can we have a link to Southwest fueling training site? Or,
yeah, so I'm really glad you asked that one, because that's a big question we've gotten from everybody. So there's kind of three tiers to the user content that we can host. Tier one is just basic, like record keeping, direction and record keeping, let's call it that. That would be one where you've got to do airline training, right? So we would create a course called Southwest Airline Training, and when the student accessed that course, it would be a link that would take them over to do the Southwest training. When they're done, if it's the way it is with many others, they print out a certificate or something like that, then you as the administrator would be able to go in and check that was completed on this date. And we can even build in, if need be, the ability to upload a copy of that certificate to maintain it in the digital system. So that's kind of the first type of content. The second would be something like a PowerPoint or a video or some other basic style. We can take that, convert it into the form that needs to be, place it into the system, and your students can actually complete it within our system. And then the third version would be, we have the capability to actually develop custom content for you and your organization. If you have a special course that you really like to see done, and you want it to be high quality interactive e-learning like we do with the Safety First content, we can build that for you. I mean, there's a cost to that, but we can do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Third question.
Okay, keep them rolling.
Do you guys still have the regulated garbage and like the hazmat will not carry products in this, or is it limited to the standard line services?
Absolutely. Those are in the system. Actually, you can all right now look on your webinar interface. You see there's a tab called Handouts. From there, you can download a copy of our course catalog. It's got all the information about what courses are available, what the requirements are for the various ratings, as well as what the course orders are for the default course tracks.
All right, last question.
Okay.
Regarding the extinguisher training for supervisors and for linemen, is that still, there's no organizational changes with that? We still need to get them through that course to have them certified for the per NFPA? And
Correct.
Okay.
So for the FAA, for 139 supervisor certification, or actually, we're going to do it. We have a rating. You saw that on the earlier screen. Let me see if I can actually kind of go back to that one. There it is. So on the right side of the screen there is the fuel safety supervisor. That's the E139 321 E1 rating. There's a series of courses that you have to complete to get that rating. 2 of those courses are special courses. One of them is your hands-on fire extinguisher. Obviously, we can't do hands-on online, but it does have a place for you to go in and register that your student completed it and the date they completed it. And then second is the local fire code briefing from your airport, and you have ability to track that. Once the student completes the required courses, including that hands-on fire extinguisher and fire code, the system automatically awards them the 139 321 E1 rating.
And Mike, I do want to add, we actually have 2 ratings. We have an E1
Right.
for your supervisors, and then we have an E2 for your line service folks. So depending on, which course track they're assigned or which rating you want them to earn, we do have, different thresholds for that depending on an individual's role at your facility. And you touched on it. The hands-on fire extinguisher training is literally just, it's a simple document that explains the requirements for the hands-on extinguisher training, and then it's up to the supervisor to document that that's occurred.
All righty, thank you very much.
No problem. Other questions? All right, I don't see any other hands up at the moment, but I see a number of written questions coming through. So give me a moment here and we will open those up and kind of go through them here. You'll have to give me a moment. It takes a little bit longer to read through questions. All right, so somebody's asking, how do they log into the new program? So right now, if you go to you can always, to get to the new program, you have to be set up in it. So you're not automatically transitioned out of the legacy system into the new system. You can go to our website at safetyfirst.training and click on the training center button there, and it'll take you into a place to ask to get set up. You could send us an email saying, hey, we want to do this, and we'll get you set up. I think right now we're at a backlog. We've got about 35 companies, since yesterday that have said they wanted to sign up. So we're in the process of getting people put in there. It doesn't take long. It's not difficult. We just get you set up and the system sends you an email. But you can access the new system at safetyfirst.arrow. When you type that in, you'll just come to a login screen. You do have to have a special, it's not your legacy username and password won't work there. We got to get you set up in there.
Yeah, that's an important distinction, Mike. We've had several folks try to log in to safetyfirst.arrow with their old credentials. Entirely new system, entirely new platform. So reach out to us. Either you can email us at safetyfirst.arrow or call Mike, call me, go to our website. You guys know how to reach us. Let us know you're interested, and we will talk about or get you set up, get you going in the setup process.
All right. Next question. Oh, this is a great one. It says, I have a new employee that just began the legacy system within the past couple of days. Should I stop him before he progresses further or just allow him to finish it? My recommendation would be let them finish the legacy system. And then give them a break for some time period, whatever, a month or so, but then have them start working slowly through the other system and let them go at it over time. If you would like to get them started in the new system and have them take their time, you could do that too. So actually with a new employee, I guess either way, whatever you're more comfortable with, we're willing to do. A couple other questions here. All right, so the next question, JP had has another question. Do users now require emails? So yes, to take full use of the system, you would want to have an email for your students. I know a number of organizations don't necessarily have emails for their individuals. You could possibly have, they could use their personal email if they wanted to. You can actually put it all to a single email, an info@ABCA Aviation or something like that. But then you will have to manually tell them what their username and password is. They won't receive updates, things like that. In today's day and age, it's so easy to get a free email address. You might be better to see if you can convince your employees to at least for this get an email address set up that they could use. But I understand that occasionally they may not want to do that.
Or I would recommend they just use the one that they monitor most frequently, right? Because we want them to be able to get the communications that we're sending out. So if you don't have a company email address for each individual student, I would encourage you to use whatever email address for that student that they're actually going to get the emails that we send to them.
All right, so next question that came in wants to know how long will the legacy website be maintained? So yeah, great question. We have not made a decision on that yet. It obviously will not be forever, but we do want to make sure we create a smooth transition process. And we recognize because of the existing certifications being valid, we're not going to shut the website down and take away your access to your records. That's not going to happen. What we will do is we will set a date in which no new content can be purchased. So in other words, people can finish content that they're doing now. They can maintain the records that they have in their certification, but we can't buy and assign new content. And then 2 years after that, by that time, any existing content would have expired or certifications would have expired. We will archive the records. We won't get rid of them because we recognize there might be a time that you need those and you can ask for them. So, we will announce, as soon as we decide on the exact time frame. I promise we'll give you plenty of time. We're not just going to announce, hey, next Tuesday, that's it, guys. We'll do it. We'll give you plenty of time. Other questions? You can just hit that raise your hand button or type in your question if you've got one. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone taking the time today. Like I said, don't hesitate to send us an email at safetyfirst.arrow. If you're not already on the list to get set up, we'd love to get you set up in the new system. You do have to transition over. It's not automatically going to work. But we really appreciate your time here today, and we look forward to working with you all and get you started in this awesome new program here shortly. Hope everyone has a great afternoon, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.